Stop wasting your energy on blocking, begging, or chasing people who don't see your worth. You don't need to fight for attention, you don't need to explain yourself, and you certainly don't need their approval. There's one simple thing you must do, and when you do it, trust me, it will hit them harder than anything you could have said. Stop chasing approval. This is one of the most powerful shifts you can make in your life. And yet, so many of us are trapped in the endless cycle of seeking validation from others. From childhood, we are conditioned to look outside ourselves for approval, whether it's praise from teachers, recognition from friends, or admiration from family. As adults, this pattern continues in relationships, workplaces, and social circles. We find ourselves constantly asking, do they like me? Did I do enough? Am I enough? The problem is, when your sense of worth depends on someone else's perception, you are giving away your power. Every smile, every message, every approval becomes a small piece of control that someone else holds over you. Chasing approval creates a life lived in reaction rather than intention. You begin shaping your actions, words, and even personality to fit what you think others want from you. You compromise your authenticity to avoid conflict, to gain acceptance, or to feel safe. But authenticity is not negotiable. Your unique qualities, your voice, and your presence are what make you valuable. When you chase validation, you dim that light, and the world never gets to see your true brilliance. The first step in stopping the chase is awareness. Notice how often you seek approval or validation in your daily life. Do you alter your opinions to fit in? Do you suppress your needs to avoid disappointing someone? Do you over-explain your choices or constantly apologize for being yourself? Awareness isn't judgment, it's a mirror. Once you see either pattern, you can begin to make conscious choices to break it. Next is shifting your focus inward. Self-approval is a skill, a practice, and a mindset. Begin affirming your worth, independent of anyone else's opinion. Celebrate your achievements, no matter how small. Trust your decisions, even if they are imperfect. Set boundaries and honor them. When you approve of yourself first, the approval of others becomes irrelevant, not because it doesn't matter, but because it no longer controls you. This doesn't mean you stop caring about others or that you become indifferent. It means you are no longer dependent on external validation to feel complete. People may disagree, misunderstand, or even criticize you, and that's okay. Their perception is theirs, not your definition of yourself. True freedom comes when you live in alignment with your values, passions, and truth without bending to meet someone else's expectations. When you stop chasing approval, your energy changes. You become magnetic because confidence is visible. People are naturally drawn to those who are self-assured, not desperate. You inspire, lead, and influence without saying a word. And the most beautiful part? You finally experience life on your terms, unshackled and fully empowered. Focusing on yourself is one of the most transformative decisions you can make in life, yet it is often misunderstood. Many people think that focusing on themselves is selfish, arrogant, or even isolating. In reality, it is the foundation of true growth, fulfillment, and lasting impact. When you focus on yourself, you are investing in your own development, your mental and emotional well-being, and your life's purpose. You are taking responsibility for your happiness, your decisions, and your progress, instead of waiting for others to validate you or pave the way. Too often, people allow distractions, other people's opinions, or external expectations to dominate their energy. They sacrifice their dreams for approval, compromise their values for acceptance, and exhaust themselves trying to please everyone else. But the truth is, no one can live your life for you, and no one else's approval will ever replace your own growth. By focusing on yourself, you reclaim your time, your energy, and your potential. You prioritize your goals, your passions, and the things that truly matter, and everything else becomes secondary. Focusing on yourself is not about ignoring relationships or responsibilities. It's about approaching them from a place of strength rather than dependency. When you are grounded in your own growth, you contribute more meaningfully to the lives of others. Your relationships become balanced, your presence becomes impactful, and your influence becomes natural. People are drawn to individuals who are confident, self-aware, and intentional because they radiate authenticity and purpose. The journey of focusing on yourself requires discipline and self-awareness. It means setting boundaries and saying no to what doesn't serve your vision. It means dedicating time to learn, grow, and nurture your body, mind, and spirit. It means confronting uncomfortable truths about yourself, accepting your weaknesses, and leveraging your strengths. It also means forgiving yourself for past mistakes and moving forward with clarity and determination. Every small effort compounds into a stronger, wiser, and more empowered version of you. Moreover, focusing on yourself allows you to create your own standards for success, rather than chasing someone else's definition. You become proactive instead of reactive, intentional instead of passive, and resilient instead of dependent. Life begins to flow in your favor because you are no longer expending energy on unnecessary comparisons or distractions. Instead, every decision, action, and habit aligns with your personal growth and long-term vision. Ultimately, when you focus on yourself, you stop seeking external validation, you stop chasing a prey, oval, and you start living a life of purpose. Your confidence grows, your clarity sharpens, and your impact multiplies. Focusing on yourself is not a detour from life. It is the most direct path to freedom, fulfillment, and undeniable influence. Rising above control is one of the most liberating shifts you can make in life, yet it is one of the hardest to practice. Most people spend a significant part of their lives trying to control outcomes, relationships, and the behaviors of others. We micromanage, overthink, and manipulate situations in the hope of securing the results we desire. But the truth is, control is an illusion. The more you try to control others or external circumstances, the more stress, frustration, and disappointment you invite into your life. True strength lies not in controlling others, but in controlling yourself, your actions, your emotions, and your response to any situation. When you rise above the need to control, you shift your focus from external validation to internal mastery. You stop reacting to every slight, every criticism, or every perceived injustice, and instead, you respond from a place of clarity and calm. This is a radical shift because it requires trust, not trust in other people, but trust in yourself and in the natural flow of life. You begin to understand that you cannot dictate how others act or feel, but you can choose how you live, how you think, and how you respond. That choice is where your real power resides. Rising above control also transforms your relationships. People are naturally drawn to those who are confident, composed, and unattached to outcomes. When you stop trying to force or manipulate, your interactions become authentic and your presence becomes magnetic. Others sense your independence, your self-respect, and your inner strength, and it often inspires them to respect and value you more deeply. In contrast, attempts to control create tension, resentment, and imbalance in relationships because no one likes to feel manipulated or pressured. This practice also fosters emotional resilience. Life is unpredictable, and circumstances rarely unfold exactly as we wish. By letting go of the illusion of control, you equip yourself to handle challenges with grace and perspective. You accept that setbacks, delays, and disappointments are part of life, and instead of resisting them, you adapt, learn, and grow stronger. You conserve energy that would otherwise be wasted on anxiety and frustration and redirect it toward meaningful action and personal growth. Rising above control is not passive resignation, it is intentional strength. It means making deliberate choices, taking responsibility for your actions, and trusting the process of life. It means focusing on what you can influence, your mindset, your habits, and your reactions, while releasing what you cannot. It is a daily practice of self-mastery that builds confidence, clarity, and calm. Ultimately, when you rise above control, you reclaim your freedom. You stop being manipulated by circumstances or the behavior of others, and you start living life on your own terms. You become untouchable, not because you are indifferent or cold, but because you have mastered the art of self-control, detachment, and authentic power. This is the silent, undeniable force that influences everything around you without force, pressure, or drama. Letting actions speak is one of the most profound ways to demonstrate your value, strength, and authenticity. Words are powerful, but actions are undeniable. People can misinterpret what you say, ignore your explanations, or even twist your intentions, but your actions reveal your truth in a way that words never can. Living through actions is a silent yet powerful statement about who you are, what you stand for, and the standards you set for yourself. It's not about proving yourself to anyone. It's about living in alignment with your values so that your presence alone communicates your strength and integrity. Many people spend far too much time explaining, convincing, or justifying themselves to others. They believe that if they say the right things, others will understand or appreciate them. But in reality, words without action are empty promises. People respect consistency, reliability, and authenticity, and these qualities are demonstrated only through behavior. Every decision you make, every habit you practice, and every boundary you maintain sends a message louder than any argument or plea. Actions are the language of credibility, and when you master this language, you no longer need to chase validation or attention. Letting actions speak also fosters a sense of inner peace. When you act in alignment with your principles, you no longer feel the need to explain, justify, or defend yourself constantly. You know that your integrity, effort, and focus are visible in the results you produce and the way you carry yourself. This quiet confidence radiates to others and commands respect without force. It's a form of influence that doesn't rely on persuasion or manipulation. It relies on authenticity and the undeniable proof of your commitment to yourself. This principle also applies to relationships. Instead of trying to tell people how much you care, show it through consistent behavior, respect, and support. Instead of demanding recognition, focus on delivering results and showing your capabilities. Instead of reacting emotionally to criticism or neglect, maintain your composure and continue prioritizing your growth and values. Over time, these actions create a clear narrative of who you are, what you stand for, and what you will not compromise. People eventually notice, not because you force them to, but because your consistent actions make your presence impossible to ignore. Furthermore, letting actions speak builds credibility and influence in all areas of life. In personal growth, career, and relationships, actions demonstrate reliability, determination, and authenticity. They communicate your intentions without needing to explain, manipulate, or beg for recognition. This approach aligns with the principle of leading by example, showing rather than telling. It allows you to focus your energy on growth, self-improvement, and meaningful contribution, rather than wasting it on convincing others of your worth. Ultimately, when you let actions speak, you combine power with authenticity. You influence, inspire, and command respect silently and effectively. Your presence, habits, and achievements become the proof of your value, and the world responds naturally to this undeniable truth. Actions never lie, and when you master this principle, you no longer need to force anyone to see your worth. It will hit them without a single word. Power is silent. This idea is often misunderstood in a world that celebrates noise, drama, and constant validation. Many people believe that to be noticed or respected, they must constantly speak, explain, or assert themselves aggressively. Yet true power doesn't shout. It doesn't demand attention or force recognition. Silent power is calm, composed, and unwavering. It comes from self-respect, confidence, and mastery over your own emotions. When you embody this kind of power, others feel it without you having to say a word. It is felt in your presence, your actions, and your choices, creating an influence that is far stronger and more lasting than anything words alone could achieve. Silent power begins with inner confidence. It's rooted in the understanding that your worth is inherent, not dependent on anyone else's approval. People who possess silent power do not react impulsively to criticism, rejection, or misunderstanding. They remain steady because their validation comes from within. They do not need to explain themselves, justify their decisions, or chase recognition. Their self-assured presence communicates more than any argument or explanation ever could. This kind of power is magnetic, drawing respect naturally because it signals control, composure, and authenticity. Another key aspect of silent power is restraint. It's the ability to act without overreacting, to respond without anger, and to influence without manipulation. This requires discipline and emotional intelligence. People who are truly powerful understand that energy spent on drama, arguments, or trying to force outcomes is wasted. Instead, they focus on what truly matters: their growth, their goals, and the integrity of their actions. By staying grounded and composed, they make a far greater impact than those who constantly seek attention or approval. Silent power also communicates through consistency. When your actions, values, and boundaries are consistent, people take notice without you having to demand it. Others begin to recognize your reliability, your strength, and your integrity. The influence you create is quiet but undeniable, and it often resonates more deeply than loud displays of force or aggression. This type of power is sustainable because it does not depend on external factors or temporary reactions. It is built on the foundation of self-mastery. Ultimately, silent power is about being untouchable, not through indifference or arrogance, but through self-control, authenticity, and confidence. It is the ability to let your life, actions, and presence do the talking. When you embrace silent power, you stop chasing validation, seeking attention, or trying to control others. Instead, you focus on your growth, integrity, and purpose. Others notice naturally, and the impact you create is profound, lasting, and undeniable. In a world full of noise, silent power stands out precisely because it does not demand recognition. It commands respect effortlessly, influences effectively, and inspires deeply. Mastering silent power is mastering yourself, and in that mastery, you discover the truest form of influence, a presence so strong that it hits without you having to lift a finger.